Unlock the transformative power of Psalm 91 as we delve into the profound depths of faith, exploring how this ancient prayer can shatter the chains that bind us. Are you ready to experience divine liberation? Introduction. Psalm 91 is a timeless refuge for believers who seek protection, deliverance, and the overwhelming power of God's presence. It's a psalm of comfort and strength, often referred to as the soldier's psalm, given its historical use in times of warfare and spiritual battle. However, its application transcends physical warfare, reaching into the deepest spiritual struggles where the bonds of fear, doubt, and oppression seek to ensnare the soul. This exploration of Psalm 91 will delve deeply into the text, unraveling the layers of divine protection, examining its promises, and understanding how this powerful prayer can break the bonds that hold us captive. We will explore each verse meticulously, drawing out the profound confessions that can transform a believer's life, embolden their faith, and bring glory to God. Verse 1. The shelter of the Most High. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91 verse 1 NKJV. The journey of protection begins with dwelling. To dwell means to live in, to reside, to make a place your permanent home. The secret place of the Most High is not a physical location but a spiritual posture. It is where intimacy with God is nurtured, where trust is cultivated, and where the soul finds rest. Deeply Bible-rooted question. What does it mean to dwell in the secret place of the Most High? And how can a believer enter and remain there? Answer. Dwelling in the secret place of the Most High requires a life committed to constant fellowship with God. This is achieved through prayer, meditation on His Word, and an unwavering trust in His sovereignty. It is not a temporary visit but a permanent residence, where the believer chooses to live under God's protection, regardless of the circumstances. The key to remaining in this place is consistency in one's relationship with God, where faith overrides fear, and God's presence is continually sought after. Positive confession. Lord, I choose to dwell in your secret place. I make you my permanent home, my refuge, and my fortress. In your presence I find safety and rest. I trust in you completely, and I know that as I abide under your shadow, no harm can befall me. Verse 2. The Lord is my refuge and fortress. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Psalm 91 verse 2 NKJV. Confession is powerful. What we say about God reflects our belief and anchors our faith. The psalmist boldly declares God as his refuge, a place of safety, and fortress, a place of defense. Trust in God is not passive. It is an active declaration of who God is in our lives. Deeply Bible-rooted question. Why is it important to declare God as our refuge and fortress? And how does this confession affect our spiritual battles? Answer. Declaring God as our refuge and fortress affirms our faith in His ability to protect and defend us. This confession is a form of spiritual warfare, as it aligns our thoughts and words with God's truth, pushing back against fear and doubt. In spiritual battles, our words carry weight. They are either weapons of faith or instruments of defeat. When we declare God as our refuge and fortress, we reinforce our trust in His power and invite His intervention in our circumstances. Positive confession. Lord, you are my refuge and fortress. I declare that in you alone do I trust. You are my protector, my shield, and my stronghold. No weapon formed against me shall prosper because I am safe in your mighty hands. Verse 3. Deliverance from the snare. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. Psalm 91 verse 3 NKJV. The snare of the fowler represents the traps set by the enemy, strategies to ensnare and entangle us in sin, fear, or confusion. The perilous pestilence symbolizes destructive forces, whether physical illnesses or spiritual attacks. God promises deliverance from both. Deeply Bible-rooted question. What are the snares that the enemy sets for believers, and how does God deliver us from them? Answer. The snares of the enemy can take many forms: temptations that lead to sin, distractions that pull us away from God, or lies that distort the truth. These snares are designed to weaken our faith and lead us away from God's protection. However, God delivers us through His wisdom, guidance, and intervention. As we stay close to Him, He reveals the enemy's traps and provides a way of escape. His deliverance is both preventive and redemptive, keeping us from falling into traps and rescuing us when we do. Positive confession. Lord, you are my deliverer. I trust you to protect me from every snare of the enemy. No weapon, trap, or scheme formed against me shall succeed because you are my shield and defender. I walk in your deliverance daily, free from the enemy's grasp. Verse 4. The covering of God's wings. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. Psalm 91 verse 4 NKJV. The imagery of being covered by God's feathers evokes a sense of warmth, care, and protection. Like a mother bird sheltering her young under her wings, God offers us a place of safety. His truth is our shield, protecting us from lies and deception. Deeply Bible-rooted question. How does God's truth serve as a shield? And why is it essential for spiritual protection? Answer. God's truth is the foundation of our faith and the primary defense against the enemy's lies. The enemy seeks to distort reality and lead us into fear, doubt, and confusion. However, when we know and declare God's truth, we erect a shield that blocks these attacks. Truth stabilizes our minds, strengthens our hearts, and enables us to stand firm in faith. Without truth, we are vulnerable to deception. With it, we are invincible against the enemy's schemes. Positive confession. Lord, you cover me with your wings, and in your truth I find refuge. Your word is my shield and buckler, protecting me from every lie and attack of the enemy. I stand firm in your truth, confident that you are my protector and guide. Verse 5-6. Freedom from fear. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. Psalm 91 verses 5-6 NKJV. Fear is one of the most potent weapons of the enemy, but God's promise in Psalm 91 is that we will not be afraid. Whether it is the unseen terror of the night or the visible arrows by day, God's protection is comprehensive, covering every threat. Deeply Bible-rooted question. How can believers overcome fear? And what role does faith play in this process? Answer. Overcoming fear requires a deep trust in God's promises. Faith is the antidote to fear, as it shifts our focus from the threats around us to the God who protects us. The psalmist's declaration that we shall not be afraid is rooted in the assurance of God's protection. By meditating on God's word, declaring his promises, and relying on his presence, we can confront fear with faith, knowing that God is with us in every situation. Positive confession. Lord, I reject fear in all its forms. I will not be afraid of the terrors that lurk in the night or the arrows that fly by day. I trust in your unfailing protection, knowing that you are with me. Your presence surrounds me, and your promises give me peace. Verse 7-8. Witnessing the downfall of the wicked. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Psalm 91 verses 7-8 NKJV. These verses reveal the stark contrast between the fate of the wicked and the protection of the righteous. Even as destruction surrounds us, God's promise is that it will not come near us. We are not immune to witnessing the downfall of those who oppose God, but we are assured of his protection. Deeply Bible-rooted question. What is the significance of witnessing the downfall of the wicked? And how does this reinforce the believer's faith? Answer. Witnessing the downfall of the wicked serves as a reminder of God's justice and the consequences of rebellion against him. It reinforces the believer's faith by demonstrating that God is faithful to his promises. He protects the righteous and punishes the wicked. This contrast also serves as a warning to remain steadfast in faith and obedience, knowing that God's protection is reserved for those who trust in him. Positive confession. Lord, I thank you for your protection. Even when destruction surrounds me, I know that it will not come near me because you are my shield. I trust in your justice and rejoice in your faithfulness. I stand firm, knowing that I am safe in your hands. Verse 9 to 10. The Lord as our dwelling place. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place, no evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. Psalm 91 verses 9 to 10 NKJV. Making the Lord our dwelling place is a conscious decision, a deliberate choice to live in His presence. When we do so, we are promised that no evil or plague will come near us. This is not a guarantee of a trouble-free life, but a promise of divine protection in the midst of trials. Deeply Bible-rooted question. How can believers make the Lord their dwelling place? And what are the practical implications of this choice? Answer. Making the Lord our dwelling place involves prioritizing our relationship with Him above all else. It means living in continual communion with God, seeking His guidance, and relying on His presence daily. The practical implications include a life of prayer, worship, and obedience. When we make God our home, we carry His presence with us, and His protection becomes our constant companion. Positive confession. Lord, I make you my dwelling place. I choose to live in your presence, seeking you daily and trusting in your protection. No evil shall befall me, and no plague shall come near my home because you are my refuge and fortress. I am safe in your hands. Verse 11 to 12. Angelic protection. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. Psalm 91 verses 11 to 12 NKJV. God's protection extends beyond His direct intervention. He commands His angels to guard us. This divine assistance is constant, ensuring that we are protected in all our ways. The imagery of angels bearing us up emphasizes the care and attention that God provides for our safety. Deeply Bible-rooted question. What is the role of angels in the life of a believer, and how can we be assured of their protection? Answer. Angels are ministering spirits sent by God to serve and protect His people. Their role is to execute God's will, providing guidance, protection, and assistance to believers. We can be assured of their protection because it is God who commands them. Our confidence is not in the angels themselves, but in God's promise to protect us through them. By living in alignment with God's will, we invite angelic assistance in our lives. Positive confession. Lord, I thank you for the angels you have sent to protect me. I trust in your promise that they will guard me in all my ways. I am never alone. Your angels are with me, bearing me up and ensuring that I am safe from harm. I walk in your divine protection every day. Verse 13. Triumph over the enemy. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Psalm 91 verse 13 KJV. The lion and the cobra represent formidable enemies, those that are strong and those that are cunning. The promise here is one of victory. Through God's power, we are not only protected from these enemies but are given the authority to trample them underfoot. Deeply Bible-rooted question. What does it mean to tread upon the lion and the cobra? And how does this relate to spiritual warfare? Answer. Treading upon the lion and the cobra symbolizes victory over both overt and subtle attacks from the enemy. In spiritual warfare, we face both direct confrontations, the lion, and deceptive schemes, the cobra. However, God has given us the authority to overcome all the power of the enemy. This victory is not of our own strength but through the power of God working in us. By standing firm in faith, declaring God's promises, and walking in His authority, we can triumph over every adversary. Positive confession. Lord, I thank you for the victory you have given me over every enemy. I tread upon the lion and the cobra, trampling them underfoot by the power of your name. I walk in authority, knowing that no enemy can defeat me because you are with me. I claim the victory that is mine in Christ Jesus. Verse 14. The promise of deliverance. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. Psalm 91 verse 14 NKJV. God's deliverance is promised to those who love Him and know His name. This is a personal, intimate relationship, where love and knowledge of God lead to His divine intervention. The promise is not just deliverance but also elevation, being set on high, out of reach of the enemy's attacks. Deeply Bible-rooted question: how does setting our love upon God and knowing His name lead to deliverance? And what does it mean to be set on high? Answer: setting our love upon God involves a deep, unwavering devotion to Him, prioritizing Him above all else. Knowing His name means understanding and experiencing His character, His faithfulness, power, and love. This intimate relationship with God positions us for His deliverance because it aligns our hearts with His will. To be set on high means to be elevated above the reach of the enemy, living in a place of spiritual authority and victory. It is a position of safety, where God Himself lifts us out of danger and into His presence. Positive confession: Lord, I set my love upon You, knowing that You are my deliverer. I know Your name and I trust in Your character. You are faithful, powerful, and loving. Thank You for setting me on high, out of the reach of the enemy. I walk in Your deliverance, knowing that I am safe in Your care. Verse 15. The assurance of God's presence. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. Psalm 91 verse 15 NKJV. The promise of God's presence is one of the most comforting assurances in Psalm 91. He does not merely protect us from a distance. He is with us in our troubles. His presence brings deliverance and honor, lifting us out of our trials and exalting us. Deeply Bible-rooted question: what is the significance of God being with us in trouble? And how does this impact our understanding of His deliverance? Answer: God's presence in our troubles means that we are never alone, even in the darkest moments. His presence brings peace, strength, and assurance that we will not be overwhelmed. It also means that our deliverance is not just a future promise but a present reality. God is actively involved in our lives, working in the midst of our troubles to bring us through. The impact of this understanding is profound. It changes the way we face trials, knowing that God is with us and His deliverance is certain. Positive confession: Lord, I call upon You, and I know that You will answer me. You are with me in every trouble, delivering me and honoring me. I am never alone. Your presence surrounds me, giving me peace and strength. I trust in Your deliverance, knowing that You are faithful to bring me through every trial. Verse 16. The promise of long life and salvation. With long life I will satisfy him, and show him my salvation. Psalm 91 verse 16 KJV. The psalm concludes with a promise of long life and the revelation of God's salvation. This is not merely a promise of physical longevity but a life filled with God's presence, purpose, and peace. The ultimate satisfaction comes from knowing and experiencing God's salvation. Deeply Bible-rooted question: how does God's promise of long life and salvation fulfill the believer's deepest desires? And what does it mean to be satisfied in God? Answer: God's promise of long life is not just about quantity but quality, a life that is fulfilling, purposeful, and marked by His presence. Salvation is the ultimate fulfillment of our deepest desires, as it reconnects us with God, restoring us to our original purpose. To be satisfied in God means to find our ultimate joy, peace, and contentment in Him. It is the realization that nothing else can fulfill us as God does. This satisfaction is eternal, extending beyond this life into the joy of His eternal presence. Positive confession: Lord, I thank You for the promise of long life and salvation. I find my satisfaction in You alone, knowing that You are the source of my life and joy. Your salvation is my greatest treasure, and I live each day in the fullness of Your love and purpose. I look forward to the day when I will see You face to face, fully satisfied in Your eternal presence. Conclusion: the power of Psalm 91 to break the bonds. Psalm 91 is more than just a prayer. It is a declaration of faith, a confession of God's promises, and a weapon of spiritual warfare. Each verse carries the power to break the bonds of fear, doubt, and oppression, leading the believer into a place of security, peace, and victory. As we meditate on this psalm, declare its truths, and live in its promises, we align ourselves with God's will and invite His protection and deliverance into every area of our lives. The power of Psalm 91 is not in the words alone, but in the faith that we place in the God who stands behind these promises. Final positive confession. Lord, I thank you for the power of your word in Psalm 91. I declare that I am under your protection, safe in your care, and victorious over every enemy. I walk in faith, trusting in your promises, and I live in the freedom that you have provided. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, for you are my refuge and fortress. I am secure in your love, and I rejoice in your salvation. In the end, Psalm 91 reminds us that our security is not in the absence of danger but in the presence of God. By making Him our dwelling place, trusting in His protection, and declaring His promises, we break the bonds of fear and live in the freedom of His love and grace. This content provides a detailed exploration of Psalm 91, with deeply rooted biblical questions and answers, as well as positive confessions that affirm faith in God's promises. It is designed to inspire and encourage believers to trust in God's protection and deliverance, making it a powerful resource for personal devotion or teaching. Kindly subscribe, like, follow, comment, and share.